Good morning, it's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right, it's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Also, and two, this is episode 22 of the Uncle Lou Show Live. We do this every Monday and Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern. We have a guest coming on here in just a second. We'll have him on for a few minutes. We're going to talk about some national title odds for this year, and I'm going to give you a couple of my dark horse picks for the national title based on the current Vegas odds, and then we'll spend the majority of the show today taking phone calls from you good people. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But first, some breaking Uncle Lou news. Uncle Lou was contacted by some folks, want to use some more of my videos in an upcoming documentary. Those you've been following me for a while know that some of one of my videos is on the current season of Last Chance U on Netflix, which if you haven't seen that series, you should check it out. If you're a football fan, you would like it. Last Chance U on Netflix. Uncle Lou is in season 2 of that. I was contacted by somebody else looking to use a couple of different videos of mine in an upcoming what they described as a documentary series. So that's all I really know right now. One of the videos that they asked to use was a video I made about Hugh Freeze a while ago. So I always play an intro video at the beginning. So I figured today, in case any of you people haven't seen that Hugh Freeze video, which might be one or two of you, I don't know, I'm going to play it so you can see it. Even if you have seen it, nothing wrong with watching Uncle Lou videos over and over again, multiple times. So please enjoy.
Type. I told you. A year ago, I told you. The NCAA was coming, and they're bringing a big hammer to Oxford, Mississippi. Look, if you just found out about this Ole Miss situation and you're surprised, well, where have you been? Ole Miss is the most blatant example of paying players right out in the open that I've seen in my lifetime. I mean, you'd have to go back to the SMU days, which, I mean, I was alive for SMU, but I was a little kid, so I'm not going to sit here and say I remember it. That's how far back you'd have to go to see a bunch of idiots this out in the open about paying people. I mean, I could go through and list off the players. What Laramie Tunsil, UGA recruited this guy for 4 years. He was all dog. Ole Miss recruited him for 36 hours and signed him. I mean, and the list goes on and on and on. The Kimdichi boy. I mean, you can name them. Look, listen. How do you go from having the 45th best recruiting class year after year after year after year after year to having multiple top 10, top 5 classes in a row? How? By paying recruits. This was the worst kept secret in the history of college football. So any of you idiot Ole Miss fans, if you're surprised by this, then you've had your head buried in the sand. Big time. And and look, listen, I said this when we played Ole Miss this year too. At least Southern Cal won something. You guys bought every single player you could find and didn't win shit. Nothing. You know what you can do? You can take this infractions letter that you get from the NCAA and you can put it in your trophy case right next to your trophy that says, "We beat Alabama twice in 2 meaningless regular season games." Whee! That's the best you could do. That's the best you could do. You were buying players like Tic Tacs, and you weren't even trying to hide it. Your players were going on national TV after they got drafted and thanking you for the money. And then you come out, Ole Miss comes out with this big 10-minute video today. This poor, pitiful me. Oh, we didn't know. We didn't know. Wrong. You knew. Quit lying. Quit making stuff up. Then they say, we're going to self-impose a one-year bowl ban. Try again. Try again. The NCAA is going to laugh at that, you bunch of jacklegs. You guys, listen. You're going to get the Southern Cal treatment. You're going to lose scholarships for the next umpteen years, 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is. You can forget about going to a bowl game for the next 4 or 5 years. Not happening. If this was 15 years ago, you'd get the death penalty. You really would. You'd get the death penalty. Oh, and you're going to forfeit your percentage of the profit sharing from the SEC. Well, yeah, because we know what you've been doing with that money. And look where Ole Miss ended up this year in recruiting. Way down, far down the list again. Why? Because the NCAA basically moved in to Oxford and was watching everything you did. So you weren't able to pay the recruits for this class. So what happened? You're back in the toilet bowl when it comes to your recruiting rankings. Man, this is pathetic and sad. Sad! You know, when I jump on Southern Cal people, or, hell, even Georgia Tech people.
Lou makes me so damn mad.
Yeah, and it goes on from there. So, anyway, if you guys haven't seen that and you want to see the rest of it, just search up Uncle Lou, Hugh Freeze, and you'll find it. I'll keep y'all informed if I find out any more information about that. I really don't know exactly how they're using it, what they're doing with it, or when or where it's coming out or anything. But as soon as I know anything more, I'll let you guys know too. But they just emailed me a week or so ago, and then I just signed all the paperwork yesterday. So not sure how far along they are or what it is or whatever, but keep you guys informed. Okay, like I mentioned, I want to talk about national title odds today. I saw some stuff floating around the interwebs yesterday about some national title odds. Specifically, it was odds on teams going undefeated. I thought about talking about that some today, but you guys already know how I feel about that. I never predict a team to go undefeated. Not that I don't think it can happen. It's just the odds never favored. Even a team like Alabama, which is favored to win the national title almost every year, is never favored to go undefeated. Their chance of going undefeated at the beginning of a season is always less than 50%. It's hard to go undefeated. Alabama has, I think, one undefeated season under Nick Saban. It's just hard to do. So instead of talking about that, I found some updated national title odds. And I've got two different screens I'll pull up when we get to that. I've got one that's got every SEC team on it, and it gives you the current Vegas odds for each SEC team to win the national title. And then I've got another list I'll pull up that has the top 25 odds. There's no polls out. It's not a top 25 poll. It's the 25 teams with the best odds of winning the national title according to this Vegas site. So anyway, like I mentioned, I do have a Tennessee fan on here for a few minutes to start the show. Of course, their spring game is this weekend. We're going to ask him about that, his thoughts on that. And I got a couple other things I want to ask him, too, maybe about their quarterback situation, running back situation, and what's going on with the coaches up there. But anyway, with only a little bit more ado. Okay, that's enough ado. We'll go ahead and bring him on. You guys will recognize his name from the comments section. He shows up on a lot of Uncle Live videos and a lot of the other videos in the comments section, too, with the screen name of Eagle. So, Eagle, good morning, sir, and thanks for coming on the Uncle Lou Show today.
All right. Thank you for letting me come on the show also.
Yeah, so I don't want to go game by game through the schedule. We've done that with Tennessee a time or two already. But you guys do have a spring game coming up this weekend, so I thought it was a good time to have another Tennessee fan on. A lot of excitement in Knoxville. Well, there's always a lot of excitement in Knoxville. It's a major college football program in the SEC, but a little bit more so this year. Anytime you get a new coach that comes in, that brings a certain level of excitement with it. So give us your thoughts, expectations, feelings, whatever on the spring game coming up this Saturday.
My expectations on this game is that we're gonna mainly be looking for players that are like have a bunch of talent and stuff, and we can see a little bit of how like Pruitt like coaches and makes calls and other stuff.
Right. Always important to look for that other stuff. Now, I've heard a lot of people talking about Tennessee's strength and conditioning program under Jeremy Pruitt, that they noticed the players are looking bigger, stronger, faster. One of the downsides of Lyle, and there were many, were injuries. You guys, for the last 2 or 3 years, were unable to hold an actual spring game because you didn't have enough players, so you did the skills challenge thing. You were devastated by injuries during the season in a couple of years under Butch Jones. How much do you think Jeremy Pruitt and the new strength and conditioning staff up there at Tennessee, how much impact or effect do you think that might have on Tennessee's season?
Maybe Pruitt's probably gonna help us like keep our players more healthier and like I don't know, just like I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, you did a pretty good job explaining it. Now, what about the quarterback? What about the quarterback situation now? Who's it going to be? Now, I've got my own thoughts and opinions, which may or may not surprise you. But before I say anything about it, just give me your thoughts on the quarterback situation or the offense in general. What you think we might see different this year?
I think we got 2 quarterbacks this year that I'm mainly looking forward to. That's one from Stanford and Jarrett Guarantano. I honestly think Keller Kress, who's one from Stanford, is honestly going to win it due to more experience. And plus, we're switching to pro-style offense, so he's going to fit our offensive style.
Right. Now, the guy you got from Stanford, Keller, I think is his name. Does it concern you at all that he wasn't good enough to play at Stanford, and that's why he wanted to transfer?
Not too much, because people get, like, demoted, like, all the time. And
yeah.
Players transfer just to have, like, better careers and stuff like that.
Yeah, sometimes. Of course, sometimes people get demoted because they're not any good. But with that being said, it's not like you guys were lighting it up at the quarterback position. So who knows? He may come in and beat out Jarrett Guantanamo Bay. We'll see. I definitely wasn't impressed with him last year. I don't think very many people were. There wasn't a whole lot to be impressed with about Tennessee's season last year. Does it concern you at all? Well, one of my concerns when we brought Kirby Smart in, and I had faith in Kirby Smart. That was the guy, I hoped that we got, and we did. But a concern that a lot of people have, I had this concern too. You've sort of seen this play out with Will Muschamp. Does it concern you at all hiring a defensive-minded coach that the offense may lag behind or not be up to par?
Sort of, but he's still getting. I mean, he's still going to help our defense, but we haven't seen him on offense, so we don't know what he can do on offense yet.
Right. I mean, that's the big question mark with bringing in, and I mean the same could be said for bringing in an offensive-minded head coach, and then maybe you're not sure about the defense. You look at a team like Florida; they brought McElwain in. He didn't do anything with their offense, and their defense got steadily worse each year after Muschamp's players left. What about just the fact that Jeremy Pruitt's never been a head coach before, never mind the fact whether he's a defensive or an offensive coach? Does it concern you that he's a first-year head coach and he's sort of going to be learning on the job? I look back to Kirby Smart's first year as a head coach, and, of course, I think Kirby Smart's an elite coach. But his first year, he made some rookie-type mistakes with, clock management, play calling in certain situations. Now, he wasn't the play caller, but he's the head coach. He gets too much credit, too much blame, depending on what happens. But, there were certain situations in games where I felt like we took our foot off the gas or whatever when we shouldn't have, things like that. Does it concern you at all that you really have no clue whether Jeremy Pruitt is the greatest head coach of all time or the worst head coach of all time.
As he said before, we need to see what he can do, but he's been behind. Nick Saban is getting help from Fulmer, from like 2 veteran head coaches, so it sort of worries me how I haven't seen what he's done yet, but I'm pretty sure he'll do okay.
All right, now, everyone is very well aware that you haven't won an SEC game since November of 2016. You've lost your last 9 SEC games. You lost all 8 last year. You play Kentucky on November 10th this coming year. Your SEC games prior to that are Florida, Georgia, Auburn, Alabama, South Carolina. Can Tennessee win an SEC game before the month of November? In November, you play South Carolina and Kentucky. Before November, you play Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Auburn. Will Tennessee win an SEC game in September or October?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think so. But with us versing all those, like, high top contenders, we're going to be used to, like, high power, like, offensive. So whenever we get to the end of the year, we're going to be more used to, like, grinding it out and stuff.
Right. And how come Tennessee has never beat Will Muschamp?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know.
I don't either, because even when Will Muschamp was busy winning 3 or 4 games a year at Florida, he still found a way to beat Tennessee, and now he's 2-0 against them with the Boom Chickens there in Columbia. And I believe you guys have to play them in Columbia this year, which is not an easy place to play. I do think that's probably, well, that or the Florida game. I think you have a chance in those 2 games, although I think you'll probably be an underdog. I don't think you have a chance against Georgia, Auburn, or Alabama. So it's possible you start the SEC 1-0, depending on what Dan Mullet can find at quarterback down at Florida. That's your first SEC game, and I guess it's possible you could beat them. That game's in Knoxville. The South Carolina game is in Columbia. You might actually have a better chance of beating Florida than you do South Carolina. What are your thoughts on those 2 teams, Florida and South Carolina?
He's a Florida man, Lou.
Maybe we're probably. I mean, every year it's almost like a tug of war. Like there's like no way to predict who can win. And for South Carolina, we may just win against them because last year we barely lost to them because we dropped the pass in the end zone, causing us to lose the game.
Yeah, I think you didn't score any touchdowns in that game. That's what it was, a close game, but you ended up kicking 3 or 4 field goals or something and not scoring any touchdowns, and I think you lost like 16-12, some kind of weird score like that, 16-12 or something weird like that. You couldn't get in the end zone. Of course, that happened a couple of times last year. I believe Alabama, you did score against the Gumps, but that was a defensive touchdown. What's that guy's name? Was it Galden? Flick the Bird?
I think it's Nigel Warrior.
Yeah, Nigel Warrior. Well, no love lost for him. He made his own bed when he left the state line. Now he has to lay in it. But, yep, so you didn't score any offensive points against the Gumps. What was the score of the Georgia game last year?
41 against y'all.
41 to
0, I believe.
41-0. So you didn't score against Georgia. You did score against the Cox, but no touchdowns. I may be getting that wrong, but I think that maybe you scored 1, but it was a type of thing where you kept kicking field goals and lost a close one. But anyway, I'll be honest too. I don't see any way you're as bad as you were last year. I think it was a series of things that went wrong for you guys last year. I'd be shocked if you don't win an SEC game this year. I wouldn't be shocked, though, if you only won 1 or 2 SEC games, but that would still be an improvement over what we saw last year. Okay, anything else we need to know heading into this spring game Saturday about your beloved Tennessee Vols?
No, not really.
Yeah, I sort of figured. Anyway, I appreciate you coming on, Eagle. Like I say all the time, I wouldn't do this show if I didn't have people calling in and talk about their teams. I could easily just upload a video and give my thoughts and opinions. So I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully we can have you back on at some point later in the summer or during the season.
Yeah, thank you for bringing me on also.
Yeah, you're welcome, and also try to have a good morning if you can too, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that was Eagle there, Tennessee fan. Let me pull up these national title odds for you guys that I was talking about at the beginning of the show. Let me find them here. Where are they? Live look into the comments section first, though. Type. Look at them go. Okay, now here's some. These are some national title odds. This is from oddshark.com. Okay, so these are the Bovada odds. Most of you guys probably know that name. They're an online casino. Sports book. I'm not promoting gambling or telling you to gamble, but if you want to do online gambling, Bovada is a good place to start. Anyway, this list is in alphabetical order, not order of like favorite to least favorite or whatever. But with that being said, the Gumps do have the best odds in the SEC at plus 225. If you guys don't know how odds work, what these numbers mean is, these numbers mean if you bet $100, that's the amount you win, okay? So if you bet $100 right now that Alabama will win the national title, and Alabama wins the national title, you would win $225. So the lower this number is, the better Vegas thinks the odds are that that team wins the national title. So the Gumps have the best odds at plus 225. You bet 100, you win $225. Georgia has the second best odds at plus 800, okay? So you bet $100 on Georgia to win the national title. That wins you $800 if Georgia wins the national title. The Barn, plus 2,500. Florida, plus 5,000. Texas A&M, plus 7,500. That seems too low to me. I don't know why. Texas A&M should be closer to 15,000, to be honest. Yeah. Kentucky plus 50,000. $100 bet wins you 50 grand if Kentucky wins the national title. Mississippi State plus 10,000. Missouri plus 10,000. Ole Miss plus 30,000. Boom Chickens plus 20,000. So they're about midway in the pack in the SEC. Vandy win you a cool $100,000 for a simple $100 bet. So Jared Rifkin, who's in here all the time, a couple other Vandy fans. Any of you guys want to put your money where your mouth is, lay $100 on Vandy to win the national title this year. Vandy pulls through for you, walk away with $100,000. Not bad. LSU sitting at plus 3,500. So they're right around, well, I guess that makes them the third or fourth favorite, right? They're ahead of Texas A&M, behind Georgia and Auburn. Who else? Tennessee sitting at 35,000. Now, forgetting about these numbers on the right-hand side and exactly what they are, I think this order is probably pretty right. Alabama is probably the favorite out of all the SEC teams to win the national title this year. That makes sense to me. I think Georgia would be right behind them there, and they are on this list here. After that, you got Auburn coming in at 2,500 and LSU at 3,500. I don't think LSU should be plus 3,500. I think LSU should be closer to where Mississippi State is, around the plus 10,000 mark. I'm not a believer in Orgeron at all. Don't know where they're going to get enough offense from. That just seems like a waste of money to even take that bet for those odds. You should get a much higher payout for taking a risk on LSU this year, in my opinion. South Carolina might be a little too low at 20,000, maybe 15. But anyway, I think the order is probably pretty right. I think LSU, I don't like LSU at plus 3,500. I don't like Texas A&M at plus 7,500. Those should be more. I think South Carolina should probably be a little less, maybe. Tennessee could be like $1 million. It really wouldn't matter. Let's just be real. Plus 35,000 should be the odds of if Tennessee makes a bowl game even, much less the national title. But let's pull up. I have another list, a second one here, that's got some of the non-SEC teams on it. Let's find those. Here it is. Now there's more teams on this list, so this list is a little harder to see. But here this one is.
Lou makes me so damn mad.
That was a picture of Dennis Wilson, by the way. Good morning, Mr. Wilson. All right, so this list, like I said, a little harder to see. Now, this one's also going to have some SEC teams on it because this, and again, this is just in alphabetical order. You got to look at the numbers to see where the different teams rank. But this has the Bovada numbers, and this has a second internet book too, mybookie.ag. I don't recommend them. So anyway, again, you see Alabama sitting at plus 225. They're going to be the favorite on this list too. I already know because I looked over this list earlier. You got Clemson after that coming in at plus 550. You have Ohio State at plus 750. And you have Georgia at plus 800. So those are your top 4 teams, according to the Vegas odds right now, to win next year's national title. So you got 2 SEC teams in the top 4. Clemson representing the ACC. Ohio State representing the Big Ten. Now, there's some other teams on this list with some pretty low odds in comparison. Auburn plus 2,500. Again, LSU at the plus 3,500. Miami plus 3,000. So better odds than LSU, slightly worse odds than Auburn. Michigan State at plus 3,000. Now that one surprised me. And you'll notice you don't see Michigan on this list. This is weird to me. It almost seems like a typo. Like, shouldn't that be Michigan plus 3,000? And I know people are saying, well, Michigan can't beat Ohio State, and they've never finished higher than 3rd in the division under Jim Harbaugh. Yeah, I get all that. But they got that quarterback from Ole Miss, Shea Patterson. That's really been all, in my opinion, that Harbaugh's been missing. Their defense is lights out. So if that's not a typo, I don't know why they're not on this list. In my opinion, they should be, especially when you consider they got teams like Mississippi State on here, TCU, Virginia Tech at plus 6,000. Washington at plus 3,000 will be a popular bet for a lot of West Coast and Pac-12 guys. Southern Cal at plus 5,000 would be your second pick coming from out west. Boise State makes the list at plus 20,000. Again, this works the same way. You bet $100, you win this amount. So a $100 bet on Boise State, should they take home the national title, would net you 20 grand. UCF's on here too. You get half the odds betting UCF that you would get if you bet Boise State. So they're sitting at plus 10 grand. What else is interesting on here? Wisconsin plus 2,500. That's interesting to me. I'm leaning towards picking Wisconsin to win the Big Ten this year. I know Ohio State will be the favorite to pick it. Lucky for me, I have another couple of months before I do my official prediction videos, but I do think the Big Ten most likely comes down to Wisconsin or Ohio State, just like it did last year. I love Wisconsin's offensive line, and I think they have the best running back in football. If their quarterback can progress a little bit and the defense can play good enough, I think Wisconsin has a chance in the Big Ten, plus 2,500. Not a bad bet. If I'm looking for a dark horse on this list, it would probably be Wisconsin. By dark horse, I mean somebody that's not in the top 4 or 5 of this list. So you can't bet Georgia and call it a dark horse, or Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State. Oklahoma at plus 2,500. They're probably going to win the Big 12 again. Who knows? Texas might still be a year away. Oklahoma State, they probably regressed this year, in my opinion. TCU, it just seems like TCU can never keep it together for a full year. I do like Gary Patterson in the sense that at least he tries to play defense, whereas nobody else in the Big 12 even gives it any effort at all. Stanford at 4,500. I don't know. I think it probably comes down to Stanford, Southern Cal, or Washington coming out of the Pac-12. I just don't know if any of those teams can go undefeated. Wouldn't surprise me to see the Pac-12 get left out of the playoff. Again, Miami sitting at plus 3,000, but you compare that to Clemson sitting at plus 550. So according to Vegas, and plus 3,000 is not bad. I mean, that means you're a pretty good team. But according to the Vegas odds, Clemson is 6 times more likely to win the national title this year than Miami. Of course, they play in the same conference. So that's bad news if you're a Miami fan looking to win a national title, in my opinion. Vegas, just like Uncle Lou, not a believer in Miami's national title hopes. Yeah. So Notre Dame's sitting on here at plus 4,000. I think that's too low. I think Notre Dame's going to be better this year than they were last year. And what they finished last year, 9-3. I think it's very possible they go 10-2 or 11-1. And say what you want about Notre Dame, and look, it doesn't matter whether it's fair or not. If Notre Dame goes 11-1, they're getting in the playoff. Period. I mean, it's just that simple. I don't think it's fair either. I think they need to join a conference. It's time to shit or get off the pot. Quit being half in these conferences and half out. You know, you quit playing 4 or 5 Big Ten games for a while, and then once the Big Ten gets good, Notre Dame quits doing that. Now you play 4 or 5 ACC games a year. You know, if the ACC ever gets good, they won't. You know, then you'll quit that and you'll play the Mountain West or whatever it is. Just join a conference already, Notre Dame. But unfortunately, their name alone, and this is probably why they don't join a conference. They already know if they go 11-1. I mean, listen, in a year where you have Armageddon with a bunch of 2-loss teams, a conference champion, 2-loss conference champions, Notre Dame could get in at 10-2. Now, obviously, it would be a lot harder for them to get in at 10-2 because they don't have that 13th game, a conference championship game to try to get themselves in. But, you know, there would be some years where Notre Dame would get in at 10-2. But 11-1 or 12-0, Notre Dame's definitely in. So I know a lot of people are looking at Notre Dame at plus 4,000 and saying, well, you know, no way. There is a way. I don't think it'll happen, but I think that's probably pretty good odds there for Notre Dame at plus 4,000. So anyway, those are some of the odds there. You guys can let me know what you think about those in the comment section. You probably already are. Yes, I see. Well, no, actually, some of you are talking about fried chicken and potatoes, but what are you gonna do? You know, I don't know. Anyway,
More phone calls?
Maybe somebody does. Yeah, so if you want to call Uncle Lou, go ahead and do that. Now would be a good time. We'll see if we can't get you on the air. Argue with me. Tell me why these odds are right or wrong. If your team has a spring game coming up this weekend, call and tell us about it. If your team played a spring game last weekend, call and tell us how it went, why we should have watched, why you're going 15-0 this year, whatever. Call up and argue with me. Tell me why I'm wrong about everything I do or say. Whatever you want to do, the floor will be yours. Yeah. Hey, good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. Hey, what's up? What's up?
On, man? Dude, I didn't get to call in the other day because you know I'm a very busy and important person, as you know.
I know how that is.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, so when I last called you, you told me to go to the lunch line and say poop 100 times.
Right.
As you know, I sit at the anime table, right? I do sit at the anime table. I sit with the nerds and all that.
Right.
I walked away from that lunch table. I went to the lunch line, said poop 100 times, and I got beat. And I got beat bad.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to have to sue you.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to have to sue you because you convinced me to do that, Lou.
Right, to prove a point, and it was proven. So.
Yeah, I just okay, well, I'm really mad at you because you convinced me to do that.
You're really mad?
And now my arm's almost broken. Yeah, I'm really. I'm really mad.
Are you this mad?
Lou makes me so damn mad.
Yep. Go ahead.
Am I what mad?
Nothing. Go ahead.
No, it's just my arm is almost broken, and I can barely walk. I've been sitting in bed all day playing Fortnite, and I want to do something else. I don't know what to do.
Do you normally walk on your hands?
So I've just sat here. No.
Then what is your arm almost being broken have to do with you not being able to walk, sir?
What? I've been sick. No, and I said my leg. Someone did something to my knee, and it really hurts, and I haven't been able to walk all day. I've been having to crawl, Lou. I've been having to crawl.
Have you ever thought about having your arms and legs amputated and switched?
You know what? I'll actually do that. Let me go get my mom, because, I live in the basement, so I got to come up. I live in my mom's basement. I've got to go meet my anime friends. Hold on. Are you still there, Lou?
Still here.
You're still here? Well, Lou, listen, I just came in to say that. I don't know what else to say. I'm sure the people in the chat are just like, dude, get this idiot off, but I don't care. But you really hurt my feelings, Lou.
This caller is a weirdo.
And you know what?
LOL.
weirdo?
Ha ha ha. I'm just telling you what the comments are saying. Don't shoot the messenger.
How am I a
sir.
weirdo?
I don't. You have to take it
How
up.
am I a
Take it up
weirdo?
with the good people in the comment section, sir. Anyway, good
Yeah,
luck.
I'm a good person.
Good luck, Goku, and I hope you find all the Dragon Balls that you're looking for.
Thank you.
Yep, anime nerd there. Great phone call. Said his arm's almost broken, which means he can't walk because he got beat up at the lunch line in school. But he learned a lesson the hard way, but he made that decision himself. So anyway, phone lines open, 706-510-6817. Give me a call if you want to be on the show. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Uncle Lou, how's it going, man? This is Caleb from Columbus. I haven't talked to you in months. How's it been?
Hey, Caleb, what's up, man? I've been all right. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I wanted to say, first of all, I wish you and your whole family well with the thing going on with your wife. I know that's awful. And if there's anything that I can do, please, Twitter. I mean, I actually get a lot of DMs and stuff like that. If you want to email me, I'd be happy to help in any way I can.
I appreciate that.
First of all, what is this about? Mark Rick putting his hands on a player?
Mark Rick did what?
I read somewhere that he put his hands on a player down at Miami.
Oh.
And I don't know the exact source. I'll look that up.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up too. I hadn't heard that. I would ask Dennis Wilson, who is our resident Miami Hurricanes fan, in the comments section, but he's not really a football fan. He knows little to nothing about actual football, so I seriously doubt he's paying attention to what's going on down there.
Well, hey, I love the Tennessee fan that you had on. He said like a whole lot, but he was a pretty cool fella, seemed like.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch base with you on a couple of things. Kirby Smart, where he is not happy with the media and how they're addressing the Nat Fitzpatrick situation, who's running with the ones and the twos and the ones and the threes. And he even explained that these guys are getting reps at all different, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter at this point. It's just about getting these guys reps and just trying to get them in there. As far as him, and I know there's a lot of coach speak, but I'm getting to a main thing here. What is the deal with him constantly talking not great about our defense this year? Do you think it's a motivational tactic? Do you think he's really concerned about our defense? Lord knows there's those linebackers, I remember a lot of the highlights of Carter and Smith and Bellamy. And Bellamy played with that club on his hand that one game. I know you have to remember him out there playing with that club on his hand.
Yeah.
He had that thing wrapped up so tight. But I know, there's a lot of guys that we're going to miss. But with your expertise and knowledge, I just wanted to hit you up and ask you, do you think that he's really concerned that much about the defense, or if he's just trying to motivate these guys? Because all these players watch these, the interviews.
I do think that he probably has some legitimate concerns about the defense. I do not think the house is on fire like he portrays it. I heard a lot of this same kind of stuff from the coaching staff at this time last year. This is sort of just the mold that he comes from. Nick Saban always looks like he just got beat 100-0. Now, I'm not a fan of that sort of I'm not a fan of taking that kind of an attitude with the media that Nick Saban takes, and to a degree Kirby Smart. I think there's a big place in the middle between hating the media and treating them like the enemy, which is what Saban and Smart tend to do, and acting like a circus clown, and it's your job to entertain the media, which is what Butch Jones did. Both of those things, I don't like either of those things, but I think there's a lot of space in the middle. I mean, those people are just doing a job. What questions does Kirby Smart think the media is gonna ask? You lost a Butkus Award winner at middle linebacker. Your other starting middle linebacker was suspended half of last season because of multiple weed arrests. why are you at? He shouldn't be surprised that the media asks about that. You know what I mean? I mean, that's an obvious thing to ask. We lost a ton of talent on defense. I mean, fans are worried about the same things that media is asking questions about. I get what Kirby Smart's doing. I'm not a big fan of that kind of attitude towards the media. I love Kirby Smart. I'm not knocking Kirby Smart. You guys know I always give my honest opinions. That's one area I wish Kirby Smart was a little bit different. Now, I'm not going to argue with the results it creates. I'm couldn't be happier with the way Georgia's program is trending right now. But that's my honest opinion on it.
Okay, so just if I just need a little bit of clarification. Tell me if I'm missing anybody. We lost Trent Thompson, Lorenzo Carter, Raquan Smith, Davin Bellamy, Aaron Davis. That's 5 of the main starters.
Dominic Sanders.
4 on the front 7, which is going to be hard to replace.
Dominic Sanders, career interception leader.
Clean.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dominic Sanders, career interception leader. Gone.
Oh, we lost him too. Yes,
Yeah.
that's 6.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but we have the talent, I think, to really plug guys in and play, kind of like Alabama, but not quite as to that point of where they're at with 7 national titles in. I mean, it's been, what do they have, like 6? May have been 7
number 1 classes in a row.
Recruiting.
Yeah, and you know, there's a difference too between talent and experience. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that the let's say take the top 25 players on defense this year. Those 25 players may have more talent than the top 25 players had last year. But the players last year had a whole lot of experience. Dom Sanders played for 4 years. Lorenzo Carter played for 4 years. Roquan Smith played for 3 years. I mean, you lost a lot of guys that played 3 and 4 years, and talent can't replace experience. A lot of times experience can make up for a loss of talent, but talent can't make up for a loss of experience. Leadership is going to be, somebody's going to have to emerge on that defense. I mean, middle linebacker is usually a leadership role. I agree with the media. I mean, you tell me, is Natrez Patrick a leader on that team? If it is, we have a problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, because of his problems. Normally, I coached at a high school. Well, I wasn't a coach. I was in quality control on the offense side of the ball. And I knew just watching the defense that your Mike and your Jack linebackers, your inside linebackers, Mike and Jack, are normally one of the 2 of them are going to be your step-up guys, and you need them to be. And that's where I'm kind of having, a little bit of issue with. I wonder if, with all of the seniors that left that opted to come back last year, we had leadership out of the ass.
Yeah.
And now,
no, you're right.
A new group of leaders, and you have to push guys and see who pushes back, and who can actually step up. I know Jake Fromm will. He's still a young guy, but I know he'll be the offensive guy.
Yeah, I'm more worried about from a leadership perspective. I'm more worried about defense. You mentioned Fromm losing Chubb and Sony from a leadership perspective, that hurts. But you've got a returning quarterback now that led your team to the national title game. Players tend to circle around a quarterback anyway. So I think we're in good shape with Fromm. You got Godwin, a 4-year starter now that's going to be on the outside at receiver. I think him and Fromm can be the leaders of that offense. I'm not so much as concerned about the leadership issue on offense as I am on defense. Yeah, Natrez has played a lot of football, so the experience is there. But it's hard to rely on him. Middle linebackers are like the quarterback of the defense. They call the plays. They do all that kind of stuff pre-snap, and they're sort of just a leader of that defense. And then playing next to him, you're going to have either a sophomore or a freshman, probably. Monty Rice played a lot last year as a true freshman. He's probably the front runner to start next to Natrez this year. You got Nate McBride behind him. Jawan Taylor's another guy to keep an eye on. But, there is no superstar at the inside linebacker position unless one emerges out of the blue this year. There's just – we knew going into last year Roquan was going to be the leader of that defense. We didn't know he was going to win the Butkus Award. but you knew you knew he was a great player. We don't have that this year at middle linebacker. Somebody's going to have to step up, so it's a question mark right now.
I remember whenever we recruited Smith, he didn't sign on National Signing Day. It's been years ago, but he waited until after National Signing Day, and nobody knew who he was going to sign with, but he wanted to make sure that the coaches that he was going to be at that school were actually going to stay, because a big problem with a lot of these kids signing now on National Signing Day was the coach will stick around at their position, and after National Signing Day, they're bolt for like another job. So he stuck around, so he waited it out until I think, what was it, May?
Yeah, he was committed to UCLA, and then on National Signing Day, he never sent his letter in. So UGA jumped all over him, and we got lucky to get him. Real lucky, especially looking back on it. But yeah, that was he's one of the only players in recent memory to try that. And I sort of thought when he did that and it worked out for him that we might see some other players start doing that on National Signing Day, but it hasn't happened. I mean, we had the Demetrius Robertson situation a couple of years ago where he ended up sort of thumbing his nose at UGA and waiting a couple of weeks, I believe also until May, might have been April, and then ended up signing with UCLA actually. But for the most part, guys have continued to send that letter of intent in on signing day. But yeah, somebody's gonna have to step up.
You know, I mean, that could have opened up a whole can of worms. You know, and it may be. I think it's a good thing for me because, like, I follow everything Georgia football, and I know, you know, every February on National Signing Day, it's like I'm like, okay, so we're in the top 10, or in the top 5, or we're number 1, you know, and it'd be done. But if you sort of slow out, and I'm sure coaches are too. I mean, they're having to keep on and keep after these kids, even after National Signing Day, if they choose to not sign at that point.
Yeah,
but,
and see, it's a risk for a kid to do that because you can't just sign as many players as you want. So if you let's say you're Georgia and you want Roquan Smith, and National Signing Day comes and goes, and he doesn't sign with you, but he says, well, I'm going to wait another 2 months. It's between you and Alabama and Florida State or whatever. Well, do you wait, or do you say, well, you know what, let me just go get this other guy on National Signing Day because I don't want to get stuck now without a top guy, you know? So it's a risk for the kids to do that because the schools could easily go a different direction, but it worked out for UGA and Roquan Smith. I'm sure he's happy he came to UGA. He's most likely getting drafted in the top 10 next week and going to become an instant millionaire at the age of 21 years old. So it worked out well for everybody, but I'm with you. It's not something I want to see happening all the time.
No, not at all. You know, and I was worried that was going to open up a big can of worms. But I've heard also Carter might sneak into the first round as well. I mean, it's possible.
he should be a first round. He has first round talent.
Oh yeah, for sure. He has the length, the size, and the speed. And I know Mel Kiper. I believe it was Mel Kiper. He was going to go in the mid-second round, but there's talk of him maybe sneaking into the late first round. Now, he's very possible, but I'll be on my couch, man. I'll be watching it. I can't wait for it. But I'll be at spring game this Saturday, holding it down, and I'm ready to see Holloway. I think Holloway is going to be the next Isaiah McKenzie. You know, maybe not quite as agile, but he has Isaiah McKenzie's speed, and I think Holloway's going to be able to be a good return guy. But, you know, that's yet to be seen. He was a 4-star out of high school. I forget which high school he was at. But I remember a spring game or two ago, he was catching passes left and right. But we will see. And I know you have a lot of other guys calling in, all that stuff. So I don't want to hog the airtime or anything. So I'll let you get back to them. But I want to touch base with you. I finally got a day off on the radio call show. So. Yeah,
I really appreciate you calling, and hopefully I'll run into you up in Athens for G-Day. All right, phone line open 706-510-6817. See who the next person is that'll be lucky enough to get through. I see a lot of the comments that people are trying to call and can't get through. I'm sorry, this is a one-man operation here. There's one phone line, so I do the best I can to try to make or to try to take as many calls from you guys every day as I can. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou. Negative. No, they're not. It's not happening. Stop calling up and saying that every damn day. Vanderbilt is not winning 30 games over the next 3 years. Period. Listen to Uncle Lou. Vanderbilt has a better chance of losing 30 games over the next 3 years than they do of winning 30 games over the next 3 years.
Uncle Lou, I'm not even the guy who did it. I was just mocking him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Good morning.
I'm only had to guess.
So what's up today?
I've been dealing with the ignorant Kentucky fans that literally bugging me. It's so annoying because they're going based off of the one game last year where we had the record, the worst defense ever in college, in SEC history, and they're saying that they're better than us because of that one game.
Well, unfortunately, in the smack talk world, that's sort of how it works. If a team beat you last year, they sort of earn the right to smack talk you that next offseason. So you're having to deal with that now from Kentucky fan. I mean, I had to deal with it from people like you after the 2016 season because Georgia lost to Vanderbilt at home on homecoming. And that was the first road win Vanderbilt had in the SEC since Jimmy originally cracked corn. So I don't necessarily feel sorry for a Vanderbilt fan who's catching a little bit of hell from Kentucky fan. So.
It's also just like what they were saying was just like kind of out of the contrary. Like the guy that I was talking to didn't really know about football. He was saying Eastern Kentucky, which is a Division II school, is better than NCSU and they would beat Vanderbilt.
I have no opinion on Eastern Kentucky. So. Yeah. I mean, the reality of the situation is it's great to hear Vanderbilt fan and Kentucky fan arguing. The reality is the loser of that game is not going to a bowl. The winner of that game might go to a bowl. I mean, that's just what it comes down to with Vanderbilt and Kentucky. I think Vanderbilt and Kentucky had a better chance last year to win 8, 9, 10 games than they have this year to win 8, 9, or 10 games. Florida and Tennessee combined won, 8 games. So they were terrible. And Vandy and Kentucky really couldn't take advantage of it. So I find it highly unlikely that either Vandy or Kentucky, either one, goes on some kind of a run this year and wins 8, 9, or 10 games. I just don't see it happening. So.
Hi.
Anyway, so Vanderbilt fan felt like he needed to go ahead and call in, which was great. Good news, if you're a Vanderbilt fan, you still own the state of Tennessee. You've beat Tennessee 4 out of the last 6 years. So don't worry about arguing with Kentucky fan when you could easily be rubbing shit in the face of Tennessee fan. You listen what the general tell you now. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hello, Uncle Lou.
What's up?
Hey, the Carolina jackpot.
Man, you scratched any big winners?
Yes, I scratched off $50 winner today.
You know what? My in-laws, for Easter, my in-laws got me like $4, $5 lottery tickets. I don't ever buy lottery tickets. I know that's your deal. But for Easter, my in-laws gave me $4, $5 scratch tickets. 3 of them were losers, but one of them was a $20 winner. So I went and turned that $20 winner in for a $20 card and won $50. So I did good. I did good, right? Yeah, for y'all watching that don't know, this is Carolina Jackpot. He's a South Carolina fan, and he has a YouTube channel. So whenever somebody calls in that has a channel, I like to I like to give him a shout out or whatever. So if you guys see him in the comment section, Carolina Jackpot, or you can just search his name on YouTube, Carolina Jackpot. He uploads some South Carolina videos during the year, and he uploads a lot of lottery videos too, which you may or may not have ever watched lottery videos on YouTube. I had never watched them until I saw him, but you need to watch them. For some reason, you can't turn them off. It's like watching Shawshank Redemption. If you watch it, if you see that it's on, you just have to watch it. But anyway, what's on your mind today, sir?
Well, I don't know if you saw it or not, but I previewed the other night Will Muschamp was in a Gamecock club in North Carolina somewhere, and he threw out a one-liner about his coaching days as whatever he was, defensive coordinator, defensive back coach, whatever, LSU, that the days when he was coaching in the real Death Valley, not the other one. Kind of trolling the Gators.
Yeah.
Which got them extremely upset. They even wrote a 2-page article on TigerNet about this. How when you've been to playoffs 3 years in a row and you've kicked your so-called little brother's ass 2 years in a row, how does this upset a fan base? I mean, it's really ridiculous. And do you think this is also is he trying to be like Steve Spurrier Jr. with this? Because Boom, I like Boom, but he just don't have the juice that Spurrier had, okay?
Yeah, nobody can pull that kind of stuff off like Steve Spurrier. I mean, Steve Spurrier had a God-given gift to just needle people. And of course, the media loved him because of that. But it's hard for other people to pull that off. A lot of times, coaches end up coming off like an asshole or whatever. Spurrier was able to do it, and people still loved him. I mean, love him or hate him, he had that gift.
Yep, absolutely. Hey, I'm going to let you go so you can get some more callers today. Thanks for the shout-out, and I'll keep watching.
All right. Thanks for the call. Yeah, I've been watching his channel for a couple of years, and it was weird when I clicked on a video, and I was like, literally, this guy is scratching off lottery tickets on YouTube. I'm like, who would watch that? And then, like, 30 minutes later, I realized I was still watching it. But he'll go and buy like a whole roll off the rack, like however many tickets that is. I don't even know, but he'll go and like buy the whole roll off the rack, and he'll sit there and scratch them all. And I don't know, but you guys check it out. And like I said, he does post football videos too. So even if you're not into the lottery, check out his football videos. Carolina Jackpot. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
This is SC Fantastic.
How mad are you, sir?
Lou makes me so damn mad.
Beyond belief. Listen here, you want trash talk South Carolina? That's the issue, sir.
Okay. Help me understand.
It's making me mad. South Carolina.
Lou makes me so damn mad.
A proven winner.
Will Muschamp's a proven winner?
Elite coach. Yeah.
When?
Always.
Always? When he had a lose? What about when he had a losing record his first year at Carolina?
That was a toss-up. That season could have gone either way.
What about when he won 4 games with Florida talent? What about he's like one in 5 against UGA?
That season was rigged.
What about you had Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier, 2 of the top 10 coaches of all time. They couldn't win the SEC with South Carolina. Combined, they only won the East once. You're telling us, the Uncle Lou listeners and me, Uncle Lou, that Will Muschamp is a better coach and can do more for you than Lou Holtz and Steve Spurrier did.
Yes. Quit laughing or I'll beat you up, okay?
You gonna beat me up?
Yeah.
Where are you on the way here, or what?
Yep.
Is your mom dropping you off, or are you taking an Uber, or?
Lou makes me so damn mad.
trying to whoop me. I'll be right back. Well, Muschamp, a proven winner. Money boy.
Stop trolling me! Good morning, Your Honorable Uncle Lou.
Hey, what's up, Uncle Lou? I finally got through. It's the Ultimate Troll here.
Hello, Ultimate Troll. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. You know, it's been like 2.5 weeks since I've gotten through. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm a very busy and important person.
Oh, well, yeah, I understand. I'm sorry, Lou. Anyway, today, there are a couple things that have just made me so mad recently, Lou.
Lou makes me so damn mad.
Let us know what those things are.
Well, one of those things is, first, last night on the live stream, you said Auburn in 2013 didn't deserve to be in the national title game. Well, you know, we went 12-2 that season, and that was after a 3-9 season, biggest turnaround in college football history, by the way. But we beat Alabama, we beat Georgia, we won the SEC. And so, what are you trying to say? The SEC champion shouldn't get to the Natty game?
What I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't have been in the SEC championship game.
Why shouldn't we? Because we beat Georgia and Alabama, I think, right?
It was a fluke. Both of those wins were fluke
They were
wins.
flukes? They were flukes?
Listen, those were the two luckiest endings to games, probably that I've ever seen, and it happened to you in the same damn season, in a 3-week period. That miracle deflection catch to beat Georgia, which, by the way, was a home game for Auburn. Let's keep that in mind for something I want to bring up at the end of this conversation. A home game for Auburn. Georgia has the game won. You throw a miracle Hail Mary, but your quarterback has such a noodle arm, he can only throw it about the 30-yard line. The ball gets tipped up in the air. Your receiver's not even looking, and it basically just falls in his lap, and he trots into the end zone and scores. 2 weeks later, Nick Saban comes out, tries to kick a 50-yard field goal. Listen, if there's one thing we know about Captain Lucky Charms, Nick Saban, it's that he ain't never going to have no field goal kicker. So why he trotted some jackleg out to kick a 55-yard field goal against you is beyond me. Probably the same reason he can't beat Louisiana, Monroe, and Utah without a bunch of #1 recruiting classes. But anyway, he trots some jackleg out there and basically punched the ball to you into the end zone. With a field goal team out there trying to tackle the fastest guy on Auburn's team. 2 of the luckiest plays in history. And then on top of that, sir, because I haven't forgotten all the choke jokes that the Barners want to throw at Uncle Lou and UGA because of this year's national title game. So will you please do Uncle Lou a favor and do the listeners of LouTube a favor and remind us, sir, what was the score at halftime in the national title game, Auburn versus Florida State?
The score?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember exactly what it was.
I do. You were killing them. You were killing them. You were beating the bejesus out of them. You were beating them like they owed you money. The second half, guess what happened? You choked. You choked. The horseshoe fell out of your ass, and you choked.
Hang on.
And you choked.
Hang on.
You choked.
Lou, just like you choked at 26-23.
You choked.
Just like 26-23.
You choked.
Just like Georgia did this
You
year.
choked.
Okay.
You
Now on to my
choked.
second- now
You
on to my
choked.
second point.
Where did no, you listen. Now you had now 2013 season. That was the last time you beat Georgia or Alabama until last year, okay? We already said 2013 you played Georgia and Alabama at Jordan-Hare Trailer Park. Where did you play Georgia and Alabama at last year?
In the good old Jordan-Hare Stadium.
And where do you play Georgia and Alabama at this coming year?
In the 2 dumps of the SEC.
And name your losses from last year, please, and where they were played.
Clemson, Death Valley, LSU, the other Death Valley. Who else? We lost to Georgia in Atlanta, and we lost to UCF in Atlanta.
Those are 4 road games, aren't it?
Well, okay.
So you can't win on the road. So listen, congratulations, you choked in 2013, and this year you have to play Georgia and Alabama on the road in Athens and Tuscaloosa at the end of the season in a 3-week period when God and every other creature on earth knows that you're going to have at least 1 injury in the month of November, which means you're not going to be able to even get a first down against those 2 teams, sir. Gus Malzahn can't beat UCF if somebody's got a bent toenail.
Lou, can you let me talk real quick, please?
Go.
Okay, don't get your blood pressure worked up over this because I have 1 or 2 more points I would like to make that made me so mad.
Well, you need to hurry.
Okay, I'm sorry, Lou. Oh, you're going to limit me. Anyway.
It was your idea to limit people.
You said, I remember a conversation we had. You said Auburn was going to lose to Arkansas. Are you high?
Auburn is losing. I said it would be funny if they lost to Arkansas because you guys paid $7 million just to keep that PE teacher you call a head coach from going there.
Okay,
yeah, it would be hilarious, sir.
Can I explain why we did that? Okay.
I know why you did it.
We kept Gus Malzahn because he's November
national champion. That's why. Hey, I saw a picture this morning of your SEC West ring. Hey, congratulations, Barner. I seen the picture on Facebook today. You morons got rings for winning the SEC East. Says November champs on it. We beat 2 number 1 teams in November. We choked when it mattered. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You're but 5-minute time limit on the phone call, man.
Oh, thank you. You'll limit me. Anyway, Lou, you think that Auburn, seriously, you actually think we could lose to Arkansas? Do you think that's a possibility?
Is it on the road?
No, no, it's not on the road.
Then probably not.
Okay, and all right, you think we can lose to Arkansas? Well, I've named about 4 teams you're going to lose to: South Carolina, LSU, Auburn, and Florida. So, I mean, we can go both ways on that. But anyway, one more thing. You said the Florida State loss, we shouldn't have been there. We lost 34-31 on a last-second Hail Mary kind of crap thing like you did against 26-23. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. For your standards, Georgia's 26-23.
Oh, well, sorry, but your 5 minutes is up, sir. Hate to do this to you.
Oh, lady, how about you shut the up? I'm doing LouTube, bitch.
Yeah, hate to do that, but that was the Ultimate Troll. And look, I like the Ultimate Troll. I'm glad he called. I wish he could get through every week. He always has good calls when he calls. But the Ultimate Troll has been harassing yours truly, Uncle Lou, on my downtime, okay? On my downtime, this guy calls and messages me nonstop, knowing that I'm probably the most busiest and most importantest person that he knows. He harasses me. Now, Lee, calling again now. He harassed me nonstop on my downtime. And you know what's so important? He has to let Uncle Lou know on Uncle Lou's downtime. What's just so important. He can't wait. He's got to tell me 10, 15 times a day on texts and calls and emails. The Joker sent out in his backyard sending me smoke signals and shit. You know what's so important? He's got to tell me. You know what it is? Lou, you need to limit your callers to 5 minutes so more people can get in. Well, sir, you exceeded your 5-minute limit. Anyway, have a great day and an even better morning, and I'll see you guys very soon.